France's nuclear shift, Europe's bold move against Russia. The risk of nuclear war in Europe has reached a new high. France has just announced a major strategic shift that could change the balance of power and force Russian President Vladimir Putin to reconsider his next move. In a decision that has taken both Moscow and Washington by surprise, France is preparing to deploy nuclear-capable fighter jets to German military bases, a move that could reshape Europe's nuclear defense strategy. But France isn't acting alone. Germany, under its newly elected Chancellor Friedrich Merz, is emerging as a key player in this dramatic escalation. With uncertainty surrounding U.S. support for NATO, Germany and France are stepping up, creating a European nuclear umbrella that could serve as an independent deterrent against Russian aggression. So why is France making this move now? What does Germany stand to gain? And what does this mean for the future of NATO, the U.S., and Russia's nuclear threats? Let's break it all down. France's nuclear plan. What's changing? For decades, France has maintained a strictly independent nuclear policy, refusing to participate in NATO's nuclear sharing agreements. Unlike Germany, which hosts U.S. nuclear weapons, France has kept its nuclear arsenal under full national control. But that's about to change. According to a report by The Telegraph on February 24th, France is actively considering stationing nuclear-capable fighter jets in Germany, marking a radical departure from its long-held nuclear stance. The Dassault Rafale fighter jets, equipped with ASMPA nuclear cruise missiles, would be deployed at German military bases, giving Europe a more robust nuclear deterrent against Russia. This shift is happening at a time when European security is in crisis. Russia has been escalating its nuclear threat since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, frequently placing its nuclear forces on high alert and suspending arms control agreements. 2. The United States is reconsidering its military commitment to Europe, with Donald Trump signaling potential troop withdrawals and questioning NATO's future. 3. Germany's newly elected Chancellor Friedrich Merz has openly called for a stronger European defense strategy, stating that Europe cannot rely solely on the U.S. for its security anymore. This convergence of factors has led to a historic moment. France is offering its nuclear deterrent to Europe, and Germany is seriously considering hosting it. But why now, and what message is France trying to send to Putin? Why France's nuclear shift matters. At its core, France's move is about deterrence. Russia has been using nuclear blackmail as a central part of its strategy since the war in Ukraine began. In November 2024, Putin updated Russia's nuclear doctrine, expanding the scenarios in which Russia could use nuclear weapons. Under the new doctrine, Russia can use nuclear weapons in response to conventional military threats, not just nuclear ones. If Russia detects an incoming ballistic missile, it reserves the right to launch a nuclear strike preemptively. Any country supplying weapons to Russia's enemies, such as Ukraine, could be considered a legitimate nuclear target. This means that almost every NATO member, including Germany and France, is now in Russia's nuclear crosshairs. France's response: show Putin that Europe is prepared to retaliate. By deploying nuclear-capable fighter jets in Germany, France is making it clear to Moscow that any nuclear strike on European soil will trigger an immediate response. A French defense official told The Telegraph, posting a few French nuclear jet fighters in Germany should not be difficult and would send a strong message to Russia. In other words, France wants to counter Putin's nuclear threats with a deterrent of its own, and Germany is fully on board with this strategy. But there's another critical reason for this move. The U.S. factor: can Europe rely on America? France's nuclear shift isn't just about countering Russia, it's also a response to growing uncertainty about U.S. commitment to NATO. Under Donald Trump's leadership, there are real fears that the U.S. might reduce or even withdraw its military presence in Europe. Trump has already proposed pulling 20,000 U.S. troops out of Europe, a major reduction in America's military footprint. During his first term, Trump repeatedly threatened to withdraw the U.S. from NATO altogether, arguing that European nations weren't spending enough on defense. In February 2025, reports surfaced that Trump is considering new tariffs on European goods, further straining U.S.-EU relations. With U.S. reliability in question, European leaders don't want to take any chances. Germany in particular has relied on U.S. nuclear protection for decades. There are currently around 100 U.S. nuclear warheads stationed at military bases in Germany, but if Trump decides to pull U.S. nuclear forces out, Germany could be left without any nuclear deterrent at all. This is where France steps in. Unlike the U.S. nuclear weapons in Germany, which are controlled under NATO's collective defense agreements, France's nuclear weapons remain under full French control. This means that France can use its nuclear weapons without requiring NATO approval. If U.S. nuclear forces withdraw, France's nuclear umbrella can take their place. Europe gains a more independent nuclear deterrent, reducing reliance on American military support. In short, France is positioning itself as Europe's primary nuclear power, filling the potential gap left by an increasingly unreliable United States. Could the UK join France in expanding Europe's nuclear shield? France isn't the only European nation with nuclear weapons. The United Kingdom also maintains an independent nuclear arsenal, raising the question, will the UK join France in strengthening Europe's nuclear deterrent? UK nuclear capabilities: 225 nuclear warheads, primarily deployed on Trident submarine-launched ballistic missiles, SLBMs, the only NATO member aside from the US with a submarine-based nuclear deterrent. Fully independent command structure, meaning UK nuclear forces aren't under NATO control. Former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has even suggested Ukraine should have its own nuclear weapons, while current UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has openly supported closer European defense cooperation. What comes next? France's decision to station nuclear weapons in Germany is still in the early discussion phase, but the potential impact is enormous. One, Russia is now facing a stronger European nuclear deterrent, making its nuclear threats less effective. 2, the U.S. is losing influence over European defense as France and Germany take the lead in shaping NATO's future. 3, a new European nuclear alliance involving France, Germany, and possibly the UK is emerging, changing the balance of power in NATO. With the war in Ukraine still ongoing, the stakes have never been higher. Will France's nuclear deterrent be enough to keep Russia in check, or is this just the beginning of a much larger shift in global military power? What do you think? Should Europe build its own nuclear defense strategy, or should it continue relying on U.S. protection? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more in-depth analysis on global conflicts, military strategy, and geopolitics. Bell.